Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Human Resources in History. This podcast aims to offer insights from 7,000 years of human history to help modern human resource practices. I'm your host, Jin. I'm an HR professional, and I love history. The script of this podcast is generated using AI, and it's based on our blog post which we published a few weeks ago under the same topic. This voice is a synthetic clone of my real voice, and it is generated using AI. Today, we will talk about employer branding. Imagine this. What if suddenly the thing that made your company stand out, made your employees feel special, just disappeared? Sounds risky, right? Well, this is not just a modern problem. Over 1,800 years ago, the Roman Empire faced something very similar. In 212 AD, Roman emperor called Caracalla made a bold move that changed everything about what it meant to be Roman. And guess what? It offers a powerful lesson in how a brand, once diluted, can lose its magic, something every HR professional should think about. So, let's get started. Let me rewind a bit and talk about Caracalla himself. His full name at birth was Lucius Septimius Bassianus. He was born in 188 AD, during a time when the Roman Empire was still riding the waves of its golden age known as the Pax Romana. This was a period of about 200 years, starting in 27 BC, where the empire experienced relative peace and prosperity. But by the time Caracalla came into the world, those golden years were starting to show cracks. Rome was facing increasing political instability, economic challenges, and the ever-growing threat of barbarian invasions. Now, you might be wondering, why do we call him Caracalla? It wasn't his official name. He got that nickname from the Gallic-style hooded cloak or tunic that he loved to wear. The Caracalla was a kind of fashion statement back in the day, and it stuck with him so much that even historians continue to call him by that name. His official title, after a series of renamings, was actually Marcus Aurelius Antoninus, taken in an attempt by his father to tie their family to the famous Stoic emperor Marcus Aurelius. But despite the grandeur of the name, Caracalla's reign wasn't exactly something to be proud of. His father, Septimius Severus, had been a competent ruler and even started out co-ruling the empire with Caracalla from the time Caracalla was just 9 years old. But when Septimius Severus died in 211 AD, things took a dark turn. Caracalla was left to share power with his younger brother Geta, but that arrangement didn't last long. Caracalla had his brother assassinated, and from that moment on, he ruled as a sole emperor. Under Caracalla's rule, Rome didn't fare well. He's often remembered for being a cruel and ruthless leader, infamous for ordering massacres like the one in Alexandria. But one of his biggest and most impactful decisions was the Constitutio Antoniniana, or Edict of Antoninus, in 212 AD. So, what exactly was this Edict of Antoninus? Well, prior to this decree, Roman citizenship was something exclusive. Not everyone in the empire was a Roman citizen. In fact, it's estimated that only about 20 to 25% of the population in the provinces held that status. Citizenship gave people certain rights and privileges, including the right to vote, the ability to own property, marry legally, and, perhaps most importantly, protection under Roman law. In other words, being a citizen wasn't just about living in the empire. It was about belonging to an elite class. But Caracalla changed all that with the Edict of 212 AD. With one stroke, he granted Roman citizenship to all free men in the empire. Now, what do we mean by free men? Essentially, these were men who were not enslaved. Slaves were excluded from this new citizenship status. But for all other men, whether they lived in Gaul, Egypt, or the far reaches of Britain, Roman citizenship was now theirs. On the surface, this might sound like a unifying gesture, something that would bring the empire closer together. And in part, That was probably Caracalla's goal. He wanted to create a more cohesive Roman identity where all people felt connected to the empire, but there were also financial motivations. More citizens meant more taxpayers. Caracalla was facing serious economic challenges, especially since his military campaigns were draining the treasury. By expanding the number of citizens, he could collect more taxes to fund the empire's growing expenses. However, this decision came with unintended consequences. Prior to the edict, Roman citizenship was a mark of prestige. It was something people aspired to, something that gave them a special connection to the empire. But after the edict, citizenship became common. It lost its exclusivity. Imagine if everyone suddenly had a luxury item that used to be reserved for a few. It just wouldn't feel as special anymore. The population of Roman citizens skyrocketed. We don't have exact numbers, but historians agree that the edict dramatically increased the number of people holding Roman citizenship overnight. Some estimates suggest that the percentage of citizens could have doubled or even tripled, completely transforming the demographics of the empire. This flood of new citizens created a major shift in how people viewed their relationship with Rome. Before, citizenship came with responsibilities but also a deep sense of loyalty. After the edict, that bond started to weaken. People didn't feel as connected to the empire anymore, and that loyalty, which was once a cornerstone of Roman stability, began to erode. This erosion of loyalty and pride mirrors what we see in companies today when they grow too fast or reduce their standards for hiring. It's that classic problem of diluting the brand. When something that once felt exclusive and prestigious is given out too freely, it loses its value. Employees who once felt proud to work for an elite company might feel like their status has been diminished, leading to disengagement and a weaker connection to the organization. Let me give you an example from the business world. In recent years, strategy consulting firms, which were once known for hiring the best of the best, have been rapidly expanding. And with that, some employees are noticing a decline in the quality of new hires. I have a lot of friends working in large consulting firms, and some of them complain that they no longer feel the same sense of elitism, and they have noticed a decline in talent quality as their firms hire people with lower standards. That's crazy, isn't it? Are you observing the same thing? The once exclusive feel of working for such a firm has started to erode. Employees who used to feel special and valued might now feel like just another number. One solution to this, which some companies like Mitsubishi Corporation have used, is to create subsidiary companies. Mitsubishi Corporation is a Japanese conglomerate company. Conglomerates are large parent companies with smaller independent entities that operate across many different industries. Mitsubishi has more than 1,300 subsidiary companies, holding 80,000 employees at group level. But their core company, Mitsubishi Corporation, holds just 5,400 employees. And Mitsubishi Corporation has always been one of the most popular companies among top schools in Japan. By doing this, they preserve the exclusivity and prestige of the core company while allowing for growth in the subsidiaries. It's a way to maintain that elite brand without losing the ability to expand. Now let's get back to Rome for a second. Caracalla didn't just hand out citizenship for free. There was a financial motivation behind it. By expanding the number of citizens, he increased the tax base, which was supposed to help with the empire's growing financial problems. But there was a downside to this strategy. More citizens meant more people to manage. This created an administrative burden. More people meant more law enforcement, more tax collection, and just more complexity overall. It's similar to what we see in businesses that grow too quickly without a solid management structure in place. Here's another HR insight for you. When a business expands rapidly, it often comes with hidden costs. It's tempting to think that adding more people means more productivity and more profit. But in reality, it also means more complexity. Without a strong management system, that complexity can lead to inefficiencies, higher turnover rates, and degraded employee value propositions. Suddenly, the company that seemed unstoppable is struggling to maintain profitability. In HR, it's crucial to step back and ask whether the growth is sustainable. Are we growing too fast? Are we sacrificing our culture or employer brand in the process? These are the questions that need to be asked before hitting the gas on rapid expansion. So what's the takeaway here? After Caracalla's reign, Rome entered a period known as the crisis of the 3rd century. It was a time of foreign invasions, civil wars, and economic crisis. Some historians believe that this crisis was, in part, fueled by a lack of internal cohesion, something that may have been made worse by Caracalla's decision to expand citizenship. It's a reminder that while growth is important, especially in competitive markets, it needs to be done thoughtfully. As an HR professional, you're in a unique position to help strike that balance. You're not just managing headcount. You're protecting the company's culture, its employer brand, and its long-term success. So, the next time your company is about to go on a hiring spree, remember Caracalla's lesson. Growth at the expense of exclusivity can be dangerous. The right balance between expansion and maintaining a strong employer brand is key. And that's all for today's episode of Human Resources in History. I hope you enjoyed this look back at Rome and the lessons we can apply in modern HR. If you liked what you heard, be sure to subscribe and check out our blog for more in-depth articles on these topics. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time, stay curious and keep learning from the past.